Good evening. My name is Neil Dale. I'm a volunteer for 350 of Greater Lowell. We're a climate change organization in Lowell, and I've been working in this town for 7-8 years now on two things: climate action and climate justice. The city of Lowell, I'd say it again, has taken a pledge to become carbon neutral by 2030, and I would really encourage the board to take that seriously and ask how they can encourage that in things that come before them, including this project. Climate justice means helping communities to stay healthy as we work towards a renewable energy future. Lowell has one of the highest youth asthma rates in Massachusetts, and it's more than 15%. That's an incredible number of kids in this town have asthma. Diesel exhaust is directly implicated in health problems, from asthma to Alzheimer's. We've sent you a long list of studies about diesel exhaust, if you don't know it already. And exhaust from these generators spreads to a much wider area than simply the abutters, which Jake pointed out. So it would be possibly a solution to move those four generators on the south side and put them where the other ones are. I think that would be a good idea. It still wouldn't get rid of the problem. One solution to Markley's pollution problem would be to replace all the diesel generators with fuel cells. This can be done. He mentioned a company that I've looked at myself, Fuel Cell Energy in Connecticut. They regularly ship megawatt scale fuel cells all over the country to do just exactly the kinds of things we're talking about here. They, I don't know if you know about fuel cell technology. Basically what it does is it takes a fossil fuel, and mostly it's natural gas, and they convert it directly through a catalytic process into energy, electrical energy. So they don't go through a diesel generator. And because of that, number one, they're greatly more efficient. They cost a whole lot less to run. Number two, they don't put out any emissions except water vapor and CO2. But they don't put out the dangerous stuff that we're talking about. So, and number three, they're very low noise. So frankly, a fuel cell would take care of their problems. And to forestall objections about cost, Fuel Cell Energy provides long-term lease options so that greatly reducing the costs. And from what we've already heard tonight, Markley's planning on spending $7 million to mitigate emissions and noise on the diesel generators. Well, you can take $7 million off the cost of one of these things right away. The net plant would initially be fired by natural gas, and from the point of view of 350, that's not a great thing. But they could use a variety of electronically generated fuels like e-methanol and things like that. And in the long run, the plant could become carbon neutral. The Markley Group has proudly taken a pledge to achieve 100% clean and renewable energy in their frequent public announcements. It's time for the Markley Group to put their money where their mouth is and join the low carbon future that we are creating here in Lowell, and at the same time to work openly and transparently in the community that they're in. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, good evening. Steve Malagodi. I live at 200 Market Street, just around the corner. And just over the hill from Spaghettiville, from this neighborhood. I'm also a volunteer with 350 Mass of Greater Lowell. This situation just recently came to the attention of our group, and we were immediately very interested because it's sort of the textbook definition of how climate injustice and facility siting goes wrong. And it's nobody's fault here, really. This situation is not at all unique to Lowell. This situation is going on, in fact, all across the country, where we have the need for ever-expanding data centers and telecommunication interconnection centers and artificial intelligence centers. These facilities and server farms, these facilities are growing exponentially. And so what's happening is, in order to satisfy the immediate need, facilities like this are getting stuffed into buildings and neighborhoods that is not scalable for what the future calls for. It's just, the demand is just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. So the request that you're seeing tonight, that's not the end of it. There's going to be a constant need for expanding these facilities. And again, as I said, all across the country that I've read about, these facilities are being installed knowing full well from the very beginning that the utility company could not supply the adequate electricity needed. And so what you have to do is to put in alternate sources of electricity. And so diesel generators. Now, before I retired, I worked in a place that was kind of similar, not at this scale, but kind of similar. We had to run 24/7. There was no alternative. And so we had to have a backup generator when the power went out. And by the way, where this was, the power went out a lot more than it does here. But nevertheless, we had a similar situation. And that meant a big diesel generator, I think 2,500 kilowatts, the same as I think what they want to put in here. And that meant diesel fuel storage, constantly replenishing the diesel fuel. The transfer switch was really problematic. You never knew when it was going to work. It often didn't work. But there were some critical differences. Number one, nobody lived around where we were, where my facility was. Number two, that was 40 years ago. There has been no improvement in this technology, no notable improvement in this technology in 40 years. So what you're talking about is permitting really, really old technology to solve a problem that, okay, shouldn't have happened in the first place. But nevertheless, there are facts on the ground here. This is a strategic facility that has an intrinsic problem. It's choked for electricity. It's just a real problem. So there needs to be a modern technological solution to this, because this facility is going to grow and require more electricity and grow until it can no longer fit within the walls that constrain it, and they'll move somewhere else and abandon the site. That's what's going to happen. So what we need to do is find a technological fix for this. Installing new diesel generators in the middle of the city is not one of those solutions. It is absolutely unacceptable. It doesn't matter how high you build the smokestacks. If you're burning diesel fuel, the emissions go somewhere. So we need to find a technological solution to this, and diesel generators are not on the table. Absolutely unacceptable. Now, it was kind of interesting, Mr. Chairman, at the beginning you read a list of departments that you hadn't heard from on this project. And I think one of the departments that I didn't hear you mention was that of the sustainability director. So I wonder, did this even go to her office? Has this been considered at all by her office? It seems a slap in the face to the city's announced pledged goals to reach its carbon neutral goals by 2035. And it seems kind of like an insult to the sustainability division if this was not, in fact, run through their department. So I think what you need to do tonight is to go back to the drawing board. Just reset. And I would say this to the Markley representatives too. Let's just do a reset, right? In an environment of mutual respect and dignity where everybody, including the community, is taken with a level of respect. that I apparently has been missing in this long project. So I thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Danny, have any questions, comments?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to appreciate everybody that came out, including the proponent. I think somebody hit the nail on the head with we all have to try to work together to make Lowell a better place. And that's what I'm hearing from everybody. So I appreciate everybody coming out, and I appreciate the proponent and council for their presentations. I guess what I want to get in my head, first of all, I don't think this should be voted on tonight, just so everybody knows where I'm standing. And the reason I say that is because when I look through what we've received from the different departments, there are a lot of departments that didn't check in. I don't know what their responsibilities are, to be honest with you. I'm new to the board, I'm figuring things out. But it seems to me that some of this is for safety, some of it is for the well-being of the city and its residents. So I think we do need to hear back from them. But be that as it may, I guess what I want to get in my head is where does this project stand? All right, so there were a bunch of numbers thrown out, and I'm going to kind of put you on the spot, Attorney Martin. There was a bunch of numbers that were mentioned as far as this is what we're going to invest in the city. This is the size of the project. I'd kind of like to get a sense of where is the project now? What will it be, you know, like for percentages or money amounts, or after this proposal, will it be 50% complete after this proposal? Or, you know, do we still have 60% left that it needs to be built out? So I guess what I wanted to do is get a sense of, it sounds like there's a big investment that somebody is trying to make in the city. And what I wanted to get a sense of is where does it stand now? Where is it going forward?
Right. So as to where it stands now, right, we're acting on the approvals that were granted in December 2023, right? So the construction has begun. There are equipment orders in place. The cost is, rough numbers, $225 million for this project.
For just this project?
This piece of it, including the approval, if we got approval tonight.
So
Okay.
that's all of the stuff before, up to this, if this ever gets approved?
Right.
Okay.
And so the timeline for completion of that would, I've been told, 10 months, right? So roughly 10 months for completion. Things slip sometimes, but, I think, you could say approximately a year that this piece of all this would be complete.
Okay. All right.
Now, as to where that is in the overall site, it's not to say we're trying to grow the business here.
I get it.
And there could be things that come in that alter that. That's where we're here tonight, right? Things came in to alter when we had the approval before. Now we think we need 4 more.
Yep.
So, but as we stand here tonight, that's rough numbers where we are.
Okay. And so going forward, what is anticipated that's as part of the growth? How much more is going to be added to this site? Because at the beginning, I thought I heard, listen, we're looking to invest, $370 zillion or whatever the amount was. It was a lot of money.
Right. So, it's hard to say because, we have additional capacity beyond this, but technology changes too, right? So technology's changed even since the start of this in 2015. So it's conceivable, 5 years out that, or 1 year out, there'd be a better process that didn't require this type of technology. We might be able to do more on the inside with what already exists, right? As the technology requires less space and for operating servers and the like. So, you know, we do have opportunity for more growth, but it's sort of dependent on the marketplace. If you know, we can't say we're going to add this capacity today, this in 3 months, this in 6 months. The world is not as neat as sometimes we would like it to be.
Okay. I'm also curious on the, frankly, you know, sometimes you get information that you're given and you're schooled, and I know nothing about it. I thought it was interesting to hear something that isn't diesel. I laugh every time I see a diesel car. You go by it and you're coughing and you're like, what the hell? Who designed this? And I understand that diesel generators are very limited use. I get it. I totally get it. But I thought some of the speakers raised interesting points as far as there are some new technologies potentially present for other types of generators, and I'm curious about it. Mm-hmm. And I'm curious to hear what you folks have to say about some of these other types of generators.
Okay, well, I've been working with diesel generators for about 20 years now, permitting diesel generators. There are certain diesel generators that are vital to providing backup power to their systems. One of the first diesel generators that I permitted was the airfield lighting at Logan Airport. Okay, power goes down, lights go out. You want a diesel generator there. Natural gas, there are natural gas generators. They do not provide guaranteed uninterruptible fuel supply. In an earthquake, if you need that generator to kick on and that gas line cracks, the generator's out of service. We've had gas issues in this part of the country before as far as low pressures. That would be an issue for, say, an airfield lighting generator or critical data needs like Markley provides. Battery storage is limited. The battery can only be charged to so much and then it expires. So if you have a 2-day battery and you have a 3-day power outage, the battery is useless. The data systems go down. It's unacceptable to Markley's clients.
So what you're saying is the only real solution is these diesel generators.
At this time, it is the best solution.
It's the best solution.
It provides uninterruptible power.
Okay. All right.
You mentioned fuel cells. They mentioned fuel cells. Fuel cells require natural gas.
We do not. They can also work
On e-fuels. How do those get there?
You can generate it yourself. You put solar panels on your.
I'm not an expert. I'm not an expert on.
No,
I'm
no.
not an expert on.
And ideally,
fuel cells.
folks, just if you would, if you have other comments, you can certainly, the chair will recognize people, but
And
let the conversation be us.
That technology may be coming. Okay, I've worked on data centers for 5 or 6 years now. Worked on a data center in Utah this past summer that had 48 generators on their site. 48 over 5 buildings. And it's their best. It's what is state of the art right now for backup power at data centers.
Okay.